Hi guys, Jurassic Junkie here, and today I am playing Tropico 4. I just want to point out this is my third attempt at doing this video, thanks to, well, I've learnt something today. If you make a video, turn your fucking phone off. So I've learnt that lesson now, so let's give this another go. Well, Tropico 4 is a game I fell madly in love with, and I want to do like a let's play, try to get some people to find about this game who haven't seen it before. But I've realised a let's play could be a tad boring, so I'm going to turn it into a bit of a taste of, so for people who haven't seen it, and for people who have, I'm going to put some tips and tricks in there that have got me through this game, so it's a bit of everything for everybody really. Normally when you play this game, it's 20 story missions long and 12 modern time story missions long, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to load a sandbox. And also in this sandbox, I've been awfully naughty and did put God mode on and get myself an ungodly amount of money. So I am cheating. Now Tropico, here she is, an island. So Tropico will drop you onto several different islands, and the idea of the game is quite simple: make money. And at the same time, you've got to make your people super happy, and elections come and go, and if you lose an election, you are dead. Also, if some random people come out of the jungle and kill you, you're also dead. So there's several ways to die in this game. But before I go on to all of that, let's just show you exactly what this is all about. Now, first of all, when you come into a game, you start off with several different, a tiny little town, shall we say. So we've got right here is the palace. Now, the point of the palace is where you actually hide. This is where you come out, but if anybody comes to attack you, you tend to be inside the palace. This here is a tenement, which is a dirty apartment building, really, just for the actual tenants. What we've got here is a garage, and a Teamsters office, and a construction office. Now, the point of these two are your linchpins of the game, really. This is what makes all the magic happen. So first of all, let's go in and go to food and resources and go to build a farm. Now, as soon as I do that, wow, I don't know what happened there. When you first start off, you've got obviously this green area and you've got yellow and red areas. So obviously trying to grow corn is probably not going to work best on the beach. So the point of this graph really is just showing you where it's good crop land. So I'm going to pop this down here. At the same time, when you actually build something, you can obviously have it for corn, banana, tobacco, coffee, several different things. So each building you put down could do several different things. So that's been put down now, and we're waiting for somebody to build it. So first of all, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a pause, which I'm in at the moment, and then play, which is your normal speed, and also you can make it go fast and faster, or fastest even. The other things on this screen that you've got here is your actual amount of money, which will never start off like this, and also the happiness of all the people that live in your island. So it always starts off around about 50 and will drop quite quickly at the start of the game. Because I tend to always just think, money brings happiness, so get the money in first, everyone can be happy second. So as I was saying then, construction office. The point of this building is to construct. So because I put that down, it's now sent the orders to the construction office and they shall go out and build it. So if we speed this up, you probably notice somebody, there he is, and he is now walking across. What will happen is a car will go down the road, but where the road stops, it will then walk. So if you decide to put a farm all the way up here and have no road connected to it, it would take the construction office a lot longer to erect the building. At the same time, if you've got several buildings down, you've got your progress bar here, and you can actually put high construction priority, which simply means if you've got 10 buildings down, you want one building being built quicker than the other, you press that button. So that's what the construction does. So Teamsters, what the hell are Teamsters all about? Well, I shall tell you. Teamsters' job is to be a really good team, and that's it. Now, the point of the Teamsters is to do stuff, to get stuff around the island. Now, what's happening here is over time, when I press this, these little arrows just mean who actually works in the farm. What they will do is they will start to put crops down and actually make corn. And once they've done the corn, they'll actually put it onto this little flatbed here, and that's it. It would just sit there. It's the Teamsters' job to collect the food and then distribute it out across the actual people that live here, and if we've got quite a lot of supplies, take the rest down to the dock and we shall get rid of it and sell it. The other thing you can actually do with food is not just to be sold as its raw material or to actually be consumed by food. You can actually sometimes do extra things with it. So for instance, if this was a coffee farm, I could sell the coffee and make a little bit of cash. But if I really wanted to, I could go into the industry and actually make a cannery, which I can't see because I'm used to the Xbox version. There's the cannery. So once I popped a cannery down, what it would do is it will actually start tinning the food. So it will actually, if I've got pineapple, it will sell it as tin pineapple. If it's coffee, I can have freeze dry coffee. All it does is it makes actually your raw items of the island worth a lot more money. The next thing really in this game is a garage. Now what will happen is people live here and they obviously live in shacks. But to get to work, they're going to have to walk all the way. So if you can put garages down, it just means they can get from A to B quicker and start making you money quicker. And one of the big pains of this entire game is these buggers, shacks. Now what will happen is when people first come to your island, if they're not close to a place to live, they will build a shack. Now shacks are a pain in the arse because simply, one, they're ugly, and two, it means inadequate housing, which will make your numbers plummet. As you can see, it's starting to go down. So before we go on to talk more about building, let's just show you about the happiness of people. Now, as you can see here, food quality is at 54. So if it's blue, it tends to mean you're okay. Most of the time, you want to keep everything in the blue, unless you're really lucky, then get everything in the green. But if it's in the red, you mean you got an issue. So every time you see a red number, it means people are going to be getting upset, and that is going to cost you when it comes down to the elections. So not only are you trying to make the people happy, you also have the factions. Now this is a very interesting juggling task. Now for instance, you got the religious here, and you'll do something for the religion people like making a church, but then somebody will be bored, so you build them a pub, which would then annoy the religious people, so you end up stepping on each other's toes. So the main two things of this game is keep your eye on the people and actually see how their happiness is, and also keep your eye on the factions. So back to building them. There's three ways really to actually earn money. One is to rape the land for its natural resources. Two is to actually do an import-export trade. Now what that simply means is this island is quite good for actually using it for farming and also mining, which I'll go on to in a second. But sometimes you'll get a dead desert island which you can't grow anything, which means you can't sell anything. But that doesn't mean that the actual canneries, and say for instance, let's just chuck another thing in here. What we got? A jewellery factory. Let's pop that down. So here's my jewellery factory. That's going to be built. In fact, let's quick build it just for the sake of it. So the jewellery factory is built, and surprisingly not, we need gold to make the jewellery. Now let's go up here because I know this map quite well. If we go to food and resources and go to a mine, we can see here there's different plots. Now this gold area is gold, and what you need to do is pop this mine on top of that, and then I can start to take the gold out. Now one thing I'll just point out is obviously this little red arrow here. That means it's not connected to a road, so it's not going to be doing its job. So obviously we need to get this road to connect all the way down to here. So we got a mine working and we can get gold. With gold we can sell it, but we want more money than that. So we're going to get the Teamsters to take the gold and bring it to the jewellery factory, which will then make fine jewellery. And at the same time, buildings have several different things you can do with it. So if you actually go down here, we can actually go and make fine jewellery, a finishing shop, which produces more expensive fine jewellery, which again will earn you more money. So there's several different ways of bringing in your cash in this game. But as I was saying about import-export, if I didn't have any mines on this island, it doesn't mean that I can't not make jewellery. I can still make a jewellery factory, and here it says allow imports, which simply means that when the boats dock in, they'll bring in raw gold, I shall manufacture it into a jewellery and export it again. Now, importing and exporting is something that I'm not a big fan of, because I like to have lots of farms going, I like to see everybody working, I just don't want to see something go in and then export again. And the other way, so there's your two ways: one, farming; two, importing, exporting. Alright, so the third way of actually bringing in money is tourism, and this is something I quite like. So normally when you actually have a map, you tend to have several different beaches. I tend to keep one beach just for my docks and like my jewellery shops, and just all the industry all goes onto one beach, where another beach I like to completely untouched and just have it for tourism. Now before we go into that, I just want to show you this thing called the overlays. Now when you first start a game, best thing you can do, natural resources, and have a quick scope around your island and look at all these little deposits of like salt, gold, iron, and where everything is, because pretty much you want to instantly work out where you're going to be placing all your buildings. So you don't want to put a school here and then next minute realise it's on top of a gold deposit or something like that. So make sure you work out where all your things are first. Next thing I want to show you in the overlays is the island condition. Now this is something I kind of ignored to start off with, but now I find it very useful. Now that is the beauty overlay. If you go into beauty, green is beautiful, red is ugly. And as you can see, these shacks are making this a horrible red area. But don't worry, if you've got a red area, you can still make it pretty by putting trees down and try and increase the beauty of it. But the point still stands, this beach is untouched, therefore it is beautiful. Therefore, it is an ideal place to get some money off tourists. So if we go into tourism, as you can see here, everything's locked out, and the simple reason is I have no tourists on the island, and that's because there is no tourist dock. The tourists will not dock the normal way, they'll only come through this way. So if I pop this down, again, it's warning me that I'm not connected to a road. Let me just quickly chuck a road in. Connect this willy-nilly. There we go. So this is going to be built now, which will allow tourists to enter. And that means I can now add different things. So to start off, we've got a motel, which is a bit cheap, and we've got a hotel, which is a bit better, and it goes all the way up to like luxury hotels and skyscrapers. But the thing is here, as you can see in red, it's saying I need 30 megawatts of energy, so I cannot build this building until I have a power plant. Which brings us nicely on to such things as power plants. So if we actually go into the area of infrastructure, I like to think then, we have a power plant and a nuclear power plant. So if we pop this power plant down, again I'm just chucking these left, right and centre. This wouldn't not be, I wouldn't normally play a game like this. Quick build and boosh, hopefully. Oh, I'm in pause mode, that's why. Here is our power plant. Now it won't generate any electricity whatsoever until we've got some workers in there, so I can either click on the button and say yes, we need a college graduate, or I can wait until that place is naturally filled. But now I've got a person working there, you can see I've got a big green area, and now this is my electrical grid. If I wanted this hotel here and my electrical grid doesn't quite catch it, I can actually go into the industry, and no, I don't want to do that, infrastructure, and then go to electrical substation and pop that on the corner, and what will happen is once that's built, it will increase the grid size. So come on, there we go, grid size is now grown. And obviously with more buildings you have, more juice you will use. So at the moment my consumption is 0 because I have no buildings using juice. Right, the other quick thing we can look at is housing. Now, higher the housing goes, more it costs and more happy people will become. So if you have a tenement, it's a bit crap but it's cheap, so it's good to start off with. The other thing I want to talk about is when you first start banging down these farms, you'll notice it's uneducated workers. And also where we've got our mine all the way up here, uneducated workers. And surprisingly enough, when you go down to the docks, uneducated workers. So when you first start getting all your immigrants come to the island, it's brilliant because everyone's uneducated and the roles can be filled by a load of thickos. But what will happen is as you start to make more advanced buildings, such as power plants and these buildings, you'll notice you've got high school and also college female. So you needed a bunch of educated people really to get this island going. So let's have a look at the education side, education media. Now you've got high school and you got college and a grade school. Now, grade school is obviously for the younger kids, which then can go on to high school, then on to college, and then on to the Academy of Science. But I always tend to start off with a high school, so let's plonk that down. And as you notice, there's not a red hour on here warning me that it needs to be connected to a road, so it can be plonked anywhere. But again, keep it close to a road, you stick it all the way out in that field, the kids have got a long way to walk, which costs money. Time costs money. So let's just quick build that. Boosh. What will happen is in your high school, no one will be educated unless you've got somebody educated in the first place to teach them, which is a bit of a bugger, but eventually it will attract somebody and they will take this job role on. But for now, I shall click it and instantly get a foreign high school education worker. Click. So that's on its way now. And bear in mind, this game is actually being played in super fast mode, so people doesn't normally attracted to roles this quick. But as you can see, I've got one teacher, she can do 2 students. So when I get another tutor, I should be able to fill in another 2 students. One other tip really I can say for this is I've always noticed for every high school I build, it's best to build about 2 to 3 grade schools, because grade schools fill quite easy. But what will happen is not as many people are necessarily going to go to graduation education, Jesus, not many people are going to go to high school. So more grade schools you have, higher chance of getting people
need proper
into
healthcare
your
facilities
next
on our
set of
island,
education,
Comrade
which I can't
Presidente.
remember because the healthcare
Most
demand
of the
screen is
population
on.
has
Go
to
away.
rely on traditional medicine.
High school, so yes, build lots of them to get more people in them. Very simple. As I was saying there, healthcare, which brings us on nicely into welfare. Now in here you've got churches and cathedrals and shopping malls and all different things, but you also have hospitals. Now when you first start playing the game, it's best to go with a clinic, simply because clinics don't need power and power stations cost a lot of money, so start yourself off with a clinic. But once you get that juice flowing, get yourself a hospital, because they are better than the clinics. And again, to get a hospital working, you need to have college workers. So all these advanced buildings now are all hanging on educated people. So you need to get the infrastructure in place to actually have educated people. And the last thing really to just talk about all this is attractions and landmarks and beauty and entertainment. And all these just fall under getting people happy. And that is a major thing really. You want to make sure everybody's happy. So as we can see here, entertainment is been dropping over the last few months because there's nothing near to entertainment. So you can put pubs in there, movie theatres, several different things. So that's practically how the game works. I've seen tips and tricks videos really on the internet, and none of them really tell you the best way to start off. Now mine would be, if this game just started brand new, first thing I'll do is I'll jump straight into the overlays and have a look where all my natural resources are. So we can see the golds there, salt and everything like that. So the first thing I'll do is I'll start by getting all the mines in. What will happen is, as soon as you start putting all these mines down, you're going to start losing money, because obviously to build stuff it's going to cost money, and you'll instantly start going into the red. Now going into the red's a bad thing, because it will actually affect how you stand with foreign governments such as the USSR and the US. Now these aren't major things. All it will happen is you won't be able to use some of your edicts, and some of them won't be happy. Now edicts is something I'm going to go on to in a moment, but for now let's just bang these mines down. So you want to get your mines in, and I tend to do this all on pause before the game's even started. Before I'm a second in, hit the game, press pause, and I get all my mines in place and get all my roads connected. So all my Teamsters and construction officers are all nicely networked together to start off with, because the worst thing you can have is having people running across fields trying to build different buildings. So let's bang that down there. The second thing is, people are going to get hungry straight away. So the first thing, well the second thing, obviously first mining, that's the first thing you want to do. Start worrying about getting that money coming in. Second thing, feeding them. So let's bang a load of these cornfields down here. Also, it's best to have a mix of different foods, because if everyone eats nothing but corn, they will become bored of it. So if you can get a bit of banana, a mixed diet, you know what I mean, they're going to enjoy a mixed diet, so you want a bit of everything. So I tend to start off with about 3 farms, because you haven't got that many people, 75 people, it's not that many mouths to feed to start off with. Now this is one of the best tips I can actually say about this. Normally, when I've been playing this game, I have started off by getting my mines and my food in place, and then I go off and start worrying about military or education and all the other different things. And at the end of the day, this game comes down to, you need to keep as much money as you can, because money, further on in the game, you can start buying all them beautiful buildings that people want, and it makes everybody happy. So you need as much money, or to spend as little as you possibly can. Now the best way to do this is instantly go into the government and build a ministry. And with that ministry, you can hire different people. So you've got your economy, education, and so on. But go to the foreign affairs and instantly hire somebody. So you just blew 3 grand straight away doing that, but it doesn't matter. You'll get the money back straight away. Now this is a tip which has saved me so much money. So as the ministry is being built, I'm just waiting for somebody to turn up in the foreign affairs. So let's just give it a minute. Ta-da! Right, she's turned up, and now she's working in the foreign affairs. Now here is a thing called edicts. Now edicts are just little laws that you can pass from time to time, and you can cancel, and it just changes the way people do things on the island. Now the best thing, which I kind of, edicts is one of the things you can live without, so I tend to just ignore it for the first 20 hours or so for the game, and then I realise how useful it was. So if you pop into foreign affairs and you've got here praise the US and such, you've got this, the development aid. Now you've got here 50% discount on power plants and 50% discount on tenements and apartments. So I'd start off with the USSR Department Aid. So that's going to cost you 2 grand, and that's now activated. But this now means all of your actual buildings, well, your housing, your tenements and stuff like that, are now at 50%, which is brilliant. That's the best way to save money, by just chopping prices in half. And when I first started playing this game, I used to actually build a residential area. I go everyone's going to be living here. And after a bit, people used to complain and say, oh, there's inadequate housing. And I thought, well, that's stupid. I've got billions of little hotels down here. Why is no one staying here? And what it is people like to live where they work. So as you can see here, there's a couple of shacks.
I was going to show you.
And what will happen is it's too much work for them to walk all the way down to one of these houses every single night. So instead of building a residential area, what I've always done now is if there's a mining or farming area, I actually make sure there's adequate housing near them. Now, one of the best things on top of it that you can actually do is when it comes down to the housing, tenements are pretty crappy. So I always tend to go with an apartment block or something a bit higher. But I start off with the tenements and I bang them down. And once you've got a bit of money in and you're actually building better residential areas and stuff like that, what I do is I'll go into the tenements and I drop the rent down to 0. And then if you press this button, it will set that for all the buildings. Any tenement on the island will now be free housing, which will instantly clear up all your shacks and make everybody a lot happier. So just make sure you get your tenement areas near where people work, such as this, and you'll keep everybody on your island a lot happier. One other thing which I haven't covered is the military. Now, what will happen is every so often people will come out of the jungle and try and attack you, or even sometimes your own people will turn against you. And when that happens, you want a military to back you up. So if we go to the government, we have here an army base and an armoury. Now, an armoury will attract 2 generals to your island, or you can hire them. And at the same time, if you then build a army base, this is somewhere where not only do the actual army live, but the friends and family can actually live. So as you can see here, I'll be able to attract 3 more workers, but then they can have tenants that actually live within this building. So it's a multi-purpose building, really. One thing I will say, which is another tip really, is if you go into the government, you will notice there's this little thing here called a guard station. And it says not enough generals. Now that means every time you get a general that comes to the island, you can put a guard station down. So the best tip I could say is when you hire or attract a general, instantly put down a guard station. Because what will happen is if that person is killed or leaves the island, you will no longer have the option to put the guard station down. And when you use a guard station, you can actually just bring in college students to be guards, which means you can build up your army quite quick and pay them less than you do your generals. So get as many guard stations down as you can. So as you can see here, 1 person has now been attracted. So let's just have a quick look into the government. And surprise, guard station is now available. So I'll plonk that down. And if I try to go back in there again, it will know that I only have 1 person, so I can't do it. I need more generals. And as you can see here, we're paying the wages for the generals of 20, but we're only paying 10 for these guard stations. So it means you can get a bit of a cheaper army on the go. Every time you get a general, bang one of them down, your army will start to double in size and a lot cheaper. So another tip to keeping your money down.
Peace and love, dear Presidente.
Now,
Please
this lovely
accept this
woman
flower
that will do your editing is an eco-warrior. And as you start to pollute and damage the island, she and her little army will become annoyed. If they become so annoyed, what they tend to do is take over one of your buildings and it will no longer make money, which is quite annoying. So one thing you can do is, again, in your overlays, you can actually have a look to see what your island condition is for like pollution. So as you can see here, big pollution area. To bring down pollution, we can simply go into infrastructure, and there's a garbage dump. Now, when I first started doing this actually confused me. I always thought that if I put a garbage dump near all these residential buildings, it would probably upset people. So I used to build them out the way, thinking red areas like the crops, don't put it in the red area, put it in a good area, and to realise that it didn't work. So if I plonk this down here now, and do a quick build, it'll actually bring down the pollution of the area. But at the same time, it's still not good enough for the eco warriors because it's not recycling. So if you go into it you can keep it at local garbage, or you can put it to recycling. It's going to cost you more money, but it means your pollution is going to be brought down. So when you have these buildings, there's several different ways of doing it, like for instance coal, or I can go to natural gases. Pollution is reduced by 50%, but the upkeep is doubled. So it's up to you. If you've got a lot of money, you can spend it on actually making the environment a lot better, which will stop the eco-warriors shutting down your businesses. So it is a terrific juggling act playing this game. So the only other big thing, which is the thing that got me a few times, is when and where do you need your people? Now, if we look down to this jewel factory, we've got input storage and output storage. Now, input just means how much gold has been brought. So let's just have a quick shoot up to here. Now, what's happened is when you get to here, we've got this logo. And sometimes the logo comes up when it's completely full, but the best way to do is if you look at the side of the building, there is some boxes. And what this is the gold. And it's not been moved by the Teamsters. So the best way to ever tell is if you've not got enough Teamsters is if you actually go around and see different things such as farms. Hopefully this farm, as you can see, crops. And as more and more boxes appear, it means the Teamsters aren't doing the job, or they are, but there's not enough Teamsters. So then you'll need to go into your infrastructure, bang a few more Teamsters down. And with more Teamsters means you can do it. So the best way really is as you fly around your map, just keep zooming in and seeing if boxes are piling up. If they are, you do need more Teamsters. As for construction office workers, it's quite easy to work out if you need more of them. Have you put loads of buildings down? Are they not being erected quite quick? Well, you need more of them. That's simple. But the other thing I want to talk about is the actual staffing issues. Now, as I says, this building here needs gold, and I have one worker. And if my gold mine is not producing lots of gold, but I have a full staff of people, they're going to be sat there twiddling their thumbs because the input might be only at 10 gold. So you don't need that many people to sift through 10 pieces of gold. So what you can do is if you right click, it stops all these places being hired by other people, which is brilliant. Now the best place this works is here. Now as soon as you put your power plant down, you will have no buildings that have used electricity because you can't put them down without the power plant. But what will happen is straight away people start to fill the positions. Now as you can see here, I'm only using 15 megawatts of energy, but yet I'm producing 54, which is a complete waste. So if I right click on this person, it sacks her, but these places are still ready to be filled in. Right click again, and that's it. No one else can be hired. So make the building run on only one person, and when you actually creep up to past 15 megawatts and you want a bit more juice, just click on it, and it will open the space up to let people then come in. Or if you're really lazy, you can actually just instantly hire someone, but this becomes very costly over time. So the best tips really I can say is use the edicts to bring down prices. Keep your eye on your buildings and make sure you're not overstaffing or understaffing, which sometimes can be an issue. You have no people in the building, so that's why it's not working. And on top of it, just make sure all these boxes are being shifted around the island, because if they start to build up, it's just waste. There's no export going from the island, so you will not be making any money. So just keep your eye on the prize all the time. And the other thing, as I've said a few times now, is to just make sure you spend a lot of the time looking at what people want. If they want entertainment, get some entertainment buildings in there. If you can keep them all in the blue, or even better in the green, then you'll definitely be whizzing through your elections, no problem. Now the only other thing that I can actually say about this is when you actually go into a game, you have an avatar. Now let me just quit out of this. Now this is one thing I kind of ignored when I first started playing. So if I just go to play, and we'll go to campaign, what will happen is it will give you a list of people.
What a hellhole!
Let's just press
But
play.
at least it's mine.
So here we go, select avatar. There's several different people, and I kind of didn't understand what all this was. So a compulsive gambler, that meant nothing to me. So I was just like, okay, click, select, and went into the game. So what the best thing you can do is if you go into a custom avatar, that would do. That looks like me. You've got here all your different traits and your background. So for instance, a farmer means that your farmer production will be at 50%. So you just need to sit and go through some of these and have a look what each one do. But each different background will help you in different scenarios throughout the actual story missions. So what the best thing to do is go into a story mission, start playing it, and if you end up losing or being overthrown or killed, then don't necessarily load up a previous save game. Actually look at starting the game from afresh, but setting up a new avatar with better traits that will actually suit that story mode. Now, what I'll do is I'll put a link down below for a walkthrough guide that I've got. Now, the walkthrough is no good, really, because it won't say what buildings to put down at what time, which is the kind of walkthrough you need, and it doesn't exist. But it does tell you what best traits to have for each individual mission. So that has helped me more than anything in this game, making sure I've got the correct traits for the actual correct mission. And to be fair, I think that is everything. So that's give you a good taste of how the game works, and hopefully it's not bored you to tears. At the same time, hopefully there's a few tips in there that you can actually take from it. But at the same time, this game is incredibly big, because as I said, you've got your actual campaign, which is 20 story missions long. You've got 12 modern story missions, if you've actually got that pack as well. And on top of all that, you've got your DLC, and also you got a nice big sandbox you can actually play through, and even enable God mode if you actually just want to create the best city without having to worry about the money. So there's lots to be doing in Tropico 4, and I think it's an absolutely brilliant game, and at the moment it's kicking out at £7 on Steam with Tropico 4, Modern Times, and all the DLC bells and whistles. So a great price at $7.99, so definitely go check it out. So that's it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed a taste and tips of Tropico 4. And I shall leave you now with my rendition of the intro music.